In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create classes in Java using Apache NetBeans. So the first thing we do is to go to our new project. We select Java with Ant and Java application, and here we give a name for the main class or the class that has the main method in it. So here we get our main structure or main template for the program. Now this is our main class with the project name. So this is a separate class, and we are going to create one more class outside of this class. It can be after the class, after the main class, or before the main class. This class has the main method, that is the starting point of this application. So to create the class, we start with the class keyword, and after that we can give any name, and the same rules applies to a variable declaration. So we call this class student. Then you can have an opening curly braces and a closing curly braces. Now this class can be divided into different parts. Parts mean that you can define your variables or methods anywhere you want to define, but usually the top part we use it for defining the class variables. And let's say, for example, we create a string name. This is our student's name. Then we can have age of the student, and we can have, let's say, GPA of the student. Now these variables are public at the moment, you can say, but usually when you are defining class variables, they should be private. It's not hard and fast rule that you must have them as private, but it's a good idea to have them private so that they cannot be accessed directly by using the class object. So we can call these ones as private variables. The next part can be now let's say this is our class. We have 3 variables in this class, or let's say for now we can remove this and leave them as public. Now this class is complete. We don't have methods in this class, but otherwise the class is complete. We can create an object and access these variables also. So let's see how we can access. To create an object of a class, we need to start with the class name, then the variable name or the object name, then we go with the new keyword and the class name again. Now we have an object S1 for the class, but S1 is empty. It does not have any variables or any values defined to it. So let's say I say S1, and when I click dot sign, it's going to show me all different variables that have been created inside the class. You can see here we have age, GPA and name. All 3 variables are there. So I can click name and I say then I can have the age, and then I can have the GPA also. So now our object S1 has all the values in it. Now if you want to display this, we can do one thing. Let's say then we have the age, now this way we have our class here, we have the object here, and we initialize the class variables with values. So we have one object, and this is the detail of the one object. Now we can just run this program and see what it prints out. So you can see here we have the name, we have the age, and we have the GPA. So this is our basic structure or basic start of creating class. But this is not enough. We need to have some more methods in it. Okay, now instead of printing all this here, we can print these details inside the class. So let's say we just get this one from here. Now I can create a method. To create a method in class, you need to have the access modifier. Usually the methods are public so that you can access them from the main method. Then you have a return type that can be void, or it can be any different data type, or it can be a class type also. And then you have the name of the method. Then inside these parentheses you can have different parameters passed here as arguments from the main method. So I have just used that system.out.println from the main method, but here I need to do some changes because now this is not an object. We are inside the class, so we can access all these class variables directly. I don't need to type the object name. So here we have one method inside this class which is print details. So here what I need to do is to say s1 dot, and you can see here the print detail method is also coming here. So I can just do like this, and we would still get the same result. You can see here we have the same result. Okay, now let's have a look at something else. At the start, when we were creating this one, I put private before these variables. So once you make them private, they are only accessible from inside the class. You cannot access them from here. So now see, when I make them private, what happens? Now if we come here, you would see that we are having error which says name has private access in student, which means I cannot access these private variables from outside the class, means I cannot access them from the main method. Now if I type s1 dot, you can see here I cannot see those variables anymore, but I can see the method which is print details because that is a public method. So now if I call this, let's say we remove all that. Now there is no, we did not assign any values to s1. So if I run this program now, you can see here it says name is equal to null, age is equal to 0, and GPA is equal to 0.0, the default values of these three different data types, because there are no values. Now how should I move values to s1.name, means the object s1, the first student? How should I assign a name to it? How should I assign the age and the GPA? So I cannot do it like this anymore. So now there is something called setters and getter methods, which we can add into our class. Means methods, by using these methods we can set the values of objects, and get means to get the values of the object or the variables. So the easiest way is to right click here, you have the option here, insert code, Now here you can see we have setter and getter. So first we choose the setter method, and now you can see here it says student, the class name, and all the variables that are inside this class are shown here. So I'm going to select all of them and I say generate. So when I do that, you can see here it automatically generated the code for me which says set name. Now I can call this set name from here and pass a value to it which will be moved to the class variable like this. This keyword, this, the word this, THIS, this actually points to the current class, means this class. So here, because we have the same variable name, and this one is also name, we can do something like this, or we can simply make this one as N and this one as M, and there is no need to have this pointer there, right? So it can be something like this also, but it is good to have that. And similarly you have the age and you have the GP also. So what I can do here now, I can say S1 dot, and if you look here I have set age, GP and name, all of them are here. So I just need to pass the values. So I have different values and I already have my print details method there. So I just need to run this now, and you can see we have values there. Now I can have more objects like this. So I can create this one here also. Let's say I create one here and I call this one as S2. I will just copy all these things and put them here. And this one needs to be S2, S2. So we have two different objects, and when we run this one, you can see here we have two different objects. So now these methods that we have created here, setter, we can choose these methods are required most of the time only when you have your class variables as private, because then they cannot be accessed from the main. You need to use the method to access these variables. That's why we have them here. Now we are printing all these directly, all the three values. Let's say we need to access individually, means we need to access the name separately, age separately, or GPS separately. So again the same thing, we cannot access them directly through the object, we need to access them through a method. So the second step we have here, again insert code, and then we have the getter methods which will get the value from the class and display it or use it in the main method. So here we have all of them again. We select all and we click generate. Now you can see here we have get name. Now if you look at this one, set name, we are passing a value from the main method so that it can be set, the inner the class variable can be set with the value that is passed from the main method. Similarly age and GP also. Now when you want to get something, means we want to get the value from the object and display it in the main, so we use the get name. But now we don't need to pass anything, right? Because when it comes to get name, it's going to get the name, but it's going to return something from here which is a string. So here we have the return type also, right? Similarly for age, we have return age and return GPA. So let's see. Now these values are returned from here, right? Which means I can use them in my variable in the main method, or I can display them directly. So we'll look at both of them. Let's say I say string a is equal to let's say s1 dot, you can see here it gives me get name, get age and get GPA. Get class you can forget about that, but these are the three. So when I do this one, a would have the name of object s1, Now I can display, I will just say s1 name is equal to a. Let's see, you can see here it says s1, it is the first object, so it's displaying it here separately. Okay, now the second thing what we can do, instead of moving it into a different variable and then displaying it, we can display it directly. Let's say s2, and here I can say s2 dot get name. Instead of moving it to a different variable and then displaying it, we can display it directly. You can see here it displays it. So if you are not going to use the value of this variable or object, you can display it directly like this. But let's say if there are some other values coming from the class which you need to use them in some calculation or otherwise, you can do something like this, and then this a can be used differently. This is a string, so let's say I do this. We have some, okay, here it says to upper, right? So I can do something like this. It's going to change to capital letters, right? So now we have seen how the setter and getter methods work. Now let's say instead of writing all these things, we have to call each method separately, right? Why not move these values while creating this object? When you are creating the object with values directly, that is called that we are using the constructor of this class. Now this class at the moment doesn't have any constructor. What is a constructor? Let's see. Okay, now see, we have removed all those other parts. Now let's say if we want to pass all those values, name, age and GPA, while creating the object. To do that, we need to have something called here, a method called constructor. Constructor always has the same name as the class name, and it does not have any return type. This is our constructor, right? It has the same name as the class name. Now here I'm just going to print something. Now you can see here I did not call this constructor. I'm not calling this method at all from here, but still it's going to be called. Now let's run this. You can see here it says constructor called, even though I did not call the constructor here. It means a constructor is called automatically. Even if you don't create a constructor, still it would be called. That is called the default constructor. Now here we have a constructor with no values, means we did not give any values here. We are not initializing our class variables through the constructor, but still it is called. So now what I can do here, I can define parameters, let's say and here we can say so here we have something like this. Now here it's going to give us this error, and the error says constructor student in class student cannot be applied to the given types, which is string, double and integer. So it means we need to pass some values from here. Now you can see it doesn't give any error, and when we run this one, nothing happens because we did not print anything. So to print these values, what I need to do, I need to call the print details method. You can see here all this is printed. So now we don't need to use all these different methods. Even we can create the complete object by just in one line. When we are creating the object, we just need to pass the value. So similarly, I can create one more object like this. And I need to call this one with, you can see here we have two objects. So this is how you can create class. You can create the setter and getter methods also. You can have a method that would display all the detail. This detail you can display this all detail as you like. I mean, you want to display all of it, some of it, or whatever. And you can have your constructor also like this. If you want to have a constructor, you can do this. If you don't want to have a constructor, still it's going to work. So this is the basic structure of a class.